So it's really important. I want to emphasize with especially the younger people, you've got to pick up the phone because if you don't, a lot can get lost in translation. There's a lot of money on the line for people who are buying and selling houses, and you can't have a simple text. And if it didn't come out right, or if wasn't a full answer, it's not going to be good for you.
Well, hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of The Adventures of a Real Estate Broker with Daniel Berger. I'm excited to have Debbi DiMaggio, who comes with us with 35 years of real estate experience. She's been a partner at Corcoran Icon Properties. She's a podcast host. She's a celebrated author, a best-selling author. She's consistently performs in the top 1.5% of nationwide real estate agents. She knows a thing or two about real estate for sure and other things. She comes to us from California. She resides in Northern California, but she also has a property in Southern California. In LA is where she's joining today from the podcast. So welcome from the East Coast to the West Coast. Thank you for joining in.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited to be here.
Wow, excited. That could be an overstatement, but I appreciate you even saying that. So talk to me about like 35 years. I'm only 10 years in, right?
Okay.
But I liked your idea and I wrote a book too. I wrote last year The
Oh,
Adventures of a
nice.
Real Estate Broker. I'm glad you wrote a book because everyone says I have a book in me and they say that and they say that
Yeah,
forever and they don't do it, right?
right.
And doing it is the hardest thing.
Yes, yes,
Well, first, talk to me about 35 years in real estate. What's
sure.
changed and what hasn't changed over that time period?
Gosh, well, you're a baby 10 years in because when I started real estate, there was no Instagram, text messaging, internet. It was
Almost
very,
a almost a better place. But
yeah,
but
it was very different back then.
well, in a sense, probably much easier for agents back then. Although you were more brick and mortar at the time, you still had to get your name out. But now it's almost like 24/7 because there's always something going on. It's crazy, isn't it? When I ask people, how did you find me? And they're like, well, I asked ChatGPT or Claude.
That's awesome.
So
You're doing something good to be able to be popping up that way.
I do appreciate that. And actually, the funny thing is, I keep investing in programs to help allow that to happen
Wow.
because someone's like, well, why are you doing that? Because they're already picking you. I go, because I want them to keep picking me. Because I don't have
Right.
35 years of Debbi DiMaggio experience. I
Mhm.
need something that thankfully you don't have your New York and Connecticut licenses. So,
Oh, thanks.
so we're not, so we're, so yeah, so it's certainly back in the day, it was brick and mortar. People would meet you in an office in a
Yes.
specific building. You would probably have to go get the keys. The
Yep.
office had the keys and now that's not the case.
No. And also, we wrote our own contracts, and I've never been one to write between the lines. And my boss used to say, can you just write between the lines? And I said no. And I kept bringing him contracts and contracts. And he's like, okay, don't write between the lines. Just keep bringing me the contracts. It was very different. So I remember to this day when I was sitting at my desk and when email became a thing, and I was getting these emails and I didn't really know what it was. And I'm like, why does someone want, why are they going to email me? Why can't they just pick up the phone and why can't we just have a conversation? And so it was a little hurdle for me because I wanted to have conversations with people. I wanted to talk to people. And I just didn't want to go into that thing, which now is, I mean, now we have so many emails, it's impossible to catch up. So it's a good thing. It's a curse and it's a blessing at the same time. And then I remember my first text message. I didn't get it, but then we had closed a deal. And then I guess I looked on my phone and I saw that this thing and it was a text and I didn't know what it was. And we had closed the deal, but I had never responded to my client's text because I didn't know what it was and I had never seen it. And so I was like, to this day, I'm like, oh my God, thank God you didn't fire me. I wasn't responding because I didn't know what a text message was. I didn't know how to
And that
find
was
it.
probably was that on a BlackBerry?
I don't even remember, but
Exactly.
I did have a BlackBerry and I was one of the last people to let it go. I really love that BlackBerry.
Exactly. Well, I think that's so. First off, I think the technology, there's always been technology in our world. There'll always be technology, and it's how you adapt or
Right.
not adapt. But it seems as though it makes our job harder in a sense, but it's probably better for our clients because there's more information. Well, sometimes more information can be bad too, right?
Yes,
Because isn't
absolutely.
it where somebody tells you, like, well, why didn't you do this and this? And like, what are you even talking about? They use ChatGPT to say what are the things that you should be doing that you're not doing. And you're like, 2 years old. I'm 35 years in the business. I know a little bit more and I know about your house. They don't. But
Exactly. It could be very frustrating. The one way I like to use it is when I am sharing comparables with a client, a seller, specifically, and they want their house to be worth more than it is. What's nice to be able to say with the data is that this data is public. The agents are going to see it, the buyers are going to see it. So we can't make up a price. We can't overinflate your price because the data's there. So that's on that. It's nice to have data and they can on that aspect. But let me go back to communication. I am old school, I'll always be old school. Yes, it's great to be able to text, hey, thank you for the reminder that I'm popping on today to meet with you. See you at 5 o'clock at the house. That's great. There are certain things we can use texting for. But a lot of times we need to go off the text or the email because in real estate, there's deeper conversations whether you're working with a buyer and you're trying as you when you have a conversation there's prompts right that lead you to the next and the next. If you're on a text it's this that. If you talk to someone so much more is going to come from that conversation. So when I'm working with a buyer and we're talking about an inspection or roof, a sewer lateral, a foundation, it's like there's much more that goes into it. And one comment will lead to another question, which will lead to another question. So it's really important. I want to emphasize with especially the younger people, you've got to pick up the phone because if you don't, a lot can get lost in translation. There's a lot of money on the line for people who are buying and selling houses. And you can't have a simple text. And if it didn't come out right, or if wasn't a full answer, it's not going to be good for you. I'm going to give you another example that I use quite a bit. I was doing a deal with an agent, and every area, your area, my area, LA, Northern California, we're all micro markets. We all transact and we have area standards in each area. I do not know your area. I would refer you. I would never try to sell in your area because I'm not the expert. So I was doing a deal. I was representing the seller. There was an agent on the other side representing her buyer. And she kept texting and things just weren't moving along. And I said, can you please pick up the phone? I want to see what's going on. And it just wasn't moving. I felt like we were just head up against a wall. So she wouldn't pick, the agent wouldn't pick up the phone. So I called her broker. I said, I don't want to get her in trouble. I'm not trying to tattle on her. I just need her to pick up the phone because I know if we have a conversation, we're going to get through whatever it is we need to get through. She finally called me back. We had a conversation, and this is how it went. 2 seconds. I said, what's going on with the pest inspection? What's the question? Why aren't we moving forward? I said, she said, oh, well, the father's involved. It was a single woman, but the father was involved. Oh, okay. Where's the father from? LA. I was doing a deal in Northern California. When she said the father was in LA, I knew the reason for his renegotiation on the deal. It's just area standards. What they do in LA and how they address their inspections is very different than how we do. Once I picked up the phone, I knew the mindset of that buyer, well, the buyer's father, and I was able to work through it. But we could not get there in a text message. You have to pick up the phone
was it a
sometimes.
younger agent? Is that why
Yes.
they? Because some people
Yes.
don't like using the telephone.
It's exactly. That's why I say to younger folks, for the most part, it's like younger people, newer agents. I understand you're coming into a world of technology, and that's fine. And there is a use for it, but we are agents. This is an agent. This is a person forward business a relationship business where we work with our clients. We're psychologists to them. We're negotiating. You can't negotiate. What are you going to negotiate with through texting? Pick up the phone and have a conversation because you can't put emotions through a text message. You've got to be able to communicate, and there's more to communication than just a blanket black and white text.
100%. So what's interesting is everyone was with their drive to technology. I've had people on my podcast that are like, oh, I automate things. I have
Oh,
bots talking, and I'm like, why would you ever want a bot talking to a lead, right? A referral. I'm like, that's the last thing I want. I don't use AI. I do it more in social media to try to drum in the business, bring in the business,
right.
but then I'm going to be the one talking to the people, not. I don't even, you might laugh at me. So last year I did 55 transactions for $40 million
Wow.
dollars in sales for me. I'm the
That's
broker
a
too.
lot of
So
transactions, 55 transactions.
guess how many transaction coordinators I have?
Well, I hope you have a lot.
I have zero, zero.
Who does all that paperwork? Who makes sure everyone has everything they need?
I do
How do you
because
do it all?
I don't sleep much, but again, I don't think scaling for the sake of scaling is a good idea. Listen, I did 55 transactions, 40 million of sales, 1 million of GCI with no admin, no one.
Oh
Because
my God.
to me, it's first of all, I love what I do.
Yeah.
And you just said it's about the person. I don't want to push that off to someone else because, A, for me, and everyone has to do what's best for them. Me creating a memo, I'm basically just editing another memo. I'm just putting new in who's the buy side, who's the sell side, who's whatever. It doesn't take that long. Me doing a commission bill, it doesn't take that long. And so at 55 transactions, I'm able to do that. Could I do it for 300 transactions? No. But then I also wouldn't be the person working with 300 transactions, me being me. I wouldn't be able to do it.
I
I would
don't
have
know if you have we're in California and our contracts and disclosures are about this long. And what's different, and I don't know how it is in your area. I know in New York State or New York City, it's different. We do all of our contracts. Agents write the contracts. We do all the disclosures. There's a ton of paperwork. So do you, in your part of New York, do you
So
have an
I'm actually
attorney?
I'm licensed in New York and Connecticut. Both are technically lawyer states, which I love.
Well,
I
no, of
wanted to,
course. So let's just stop right there. You have a lawyer doing all the work. So we
well,
do
in
all the work.
Connecticut, it's a little different that I would present the contract that does go under lawyer review. You don't have lawyer review,
No,
right?
we do everything. That's why it would be impossible to do what you do. There's no
Correct.
way.
So,
We
and
write
so
the contracts. I personally, my team, my husband, my son, and I work together, and we write contracts. But no, we do not have attorneys. So, yeah,
exactly. So that is the reason why
that
so
makes
if
sense
I,
then. What
so
you
if I
do,
do, but there's still people who are much smaller than me that have one or two transaction
yeah.
coordinators. I'm like, by the time I tell the transaction coordinator what I need to do, I could have just done it myself, right?
I
So
would love to sell in New York and have an attorney do all that work. God, that would be
and guess what?
amazing.
I don't want to do the inspection either. I hire an inspector who's the legal, and that's their
Well,
expertise. And so,
of course, you
well,
have to have an inspector.
that's my thing that I think it's crazy that we don't use lawyers for doing contracts because they're the expert of what that is, right?
Yeah,
And
yeah,
things work well until they don't, until
right.
you have a blow up because, and no offense to both of us, but all you need to do to be a real estate agent is be 18 years old and pass a 70 question test. You don't need college. You don't need any education. You just have to pass the test, one test. The barriers to being a real estate agent are so low, and so which is kind of good, I guess. We're competing against a lot of people that aren't really as professional and buttoned up as you are or I are,
Right.
or am.
Well, and a
um,
lot of those people get their license and they have no idea the work that goes into it. I mean, we're our own business, we're entrepreneurs, and if you are not working hard and doing all the things, I mean, we have our own businesses. Each agent has our own business, and if I mean a lot, we have 80 agents in our office, and I'm the marketing director in our firm. And when new agents come in, I go through the back end, the tech of what we have at Corcoran, and I say, I'll come in, I'll explain everything to them. And I said, in a couple weeks or a month, get back to me. Let me know if you need help. A lot of those people stay in real estate for a short time. Some stick and stay, but it's hard work. It's day in and day out before you make a paycheck. And yes, you can get your license easy, but don't discount how difficult it is to be a real estate agent. I've been doing this for 35 years in all types of markets. And there's a lot of people that fall off for sure. And some
well,
people haven't done a deal in a year.
well, we have to blame all the television shows because they make it
Oh,
so glamorous. And by the way, I
God.
like the shows. I think that they're fun. They bring out stories, right? But that's not reality, right?
I
And
can't watch them. I cannot watch them. It's so
you probably
irritating.
can't watch, like, an example is Selling Sunset. You can't watch it
No.
because I think I've read some things that those people that are on the show don't even sell.
The
Like,
two guys I've seen well, I don't know if they show their own property anymore, but I've been working here for 8 years now in LA, and they will show their own property now that they're doing the show. I don't know what they do, but those other women, I don't think their
no,
agents.
they're not really there,
Yeah.
but it makes for good television.
Oh my
So
God, people love it. It's right up the street here, and now they have it all blocked off. They've gotten it's blown up, but people. I'm like, what are they looking at? It's like,
you
it's
know,
kids' TV.
exactly. So that's not our reality. I mean,
Yes.
ultimately, 80. So things are about scale. So I actually created my own franchise so that I didn't have to listen to people. Like, I don't like rules. I mean, tell me what the laws are and I'll follow the
Right,
laws. But I don't want
right,
to say, well, our brokerage, this is what we do, and whether
right.
it's buyer's agent percents or listing percents. I treat everyone who's an agent in my office, there's no teams, there's just everybody working independently. People might work together on things, but there's no, like, specific legal team because you don't need that necessarily. And there's shared expense, but ultimately, and you probably do the same thing with your people that come in, is I love part of what I do. So I did 55 transactions. The company did 150 last year. If I did 40 million sales, the company did 90 million. So I'm doing 40 something percent of all sales because I like selling, but then I also like coaching and mentoring. So my job, besides what I do in selling, is to help people who want to be real estate agents be successful by being a mentor and being their mentor, trainer, friend, partner on some properties and things like that. But what I always say is to people, I can't want you to want to be successful more than you want yourself to be successful.
Right.
And it's not about want, it's about the dedication and the effort, right? Like, if you have someone that goes, well, I want this and this is my plan. And then I'm like, but you're never available to do open houses. We have all these houses. You can do
Exactly.
open houses. You're not doing them. You're not available for showings, right? That's them saying, well, I want a bucket of money, but I'm not going to
Right.
do the things that it takes to earn the
A
bucket of
hundred,
money.
you nailed it, 100%. I have my own podcast. It was Mastering the Art of Real Estate. Now it's Mastering the Art of Success. So I've learned from agents all over. A lot of New Yorkers I've interviewed, and some of these agents who started late, they had a career and then they went into real estate. I'll never forget this one guy said he started new. He used to be an agent in LA, in Beverly Hills, and he said I did an open house every day. And I'm like, that is so commendable. He just, like, literally, you can market and put it out on social media and be there, do your work from the open house. It doesn't matter that it's not a specific time. Just hold it open. People pop in. A seller might pop in that was walking in the neighborhood. You're meeting people. If you're going to be working from your house or working from your office, why don't you go ask an agent, can I hold your home open? You don't have to have a listing. It's just that people just don't want to work. They don't want to put in the work. But like you said, they're like, oh,
I
I'm too
love
busy.
I love that idea. And so for my listings, where I'm now about equal for listing and buyers, or maybe a little bit more heavier on the listing, I offer my agents, they're independent contractors.
Yes.
I
Same.
don't tell them to do it. And one of my agents does a really good job. She's probably in the last 2, 3 years turned 10 sales from open houses. Others haven't. But I'm like, because the thing is, you can't teach that part where the
No.
person has to be there, and it's the words that are coming out of their mouth that make them feel or act like a professional to the people that walk in there, where they're
Yeah.
like, you know what? I have an agent or I don't, but I like about you, and I would you work with me to sell my place, to help me buy. And I
Yeah.
love the idea of the everyday open house, because also in the age of social media, everybody's going to see. Generally, if someone asks me to do an open house, they can do any videos they want from inside the
Right.
open house. I Because it's not, they're not stealing from me, that it's
Same.
they're
Yeah.
working, and actually it just shows how it shows their ability. And that is how you break in a new market, is do other
Absolutely.
people's open houses until the open houses become yours, and then you're asking for other people to help. That is that there's probably, and it's free.
It's free. People are like, oh, I don't have money to do this or marketing or this. Then get your body out there, put it on social media. It's free, and people will see you working in the business. But Yeah, people have a lot of excuses.
Again, so my job is to, so the other thing I say is it's not about as much money that you make, it's what the money that you keep, right? And
Yeah.
so I do a good job of being like when you're going to die from me doing 40 million sales. But when I get a listing, I'm the one going with the hammer and putting the sign in the lawn because
Wow. You are do it
it's
all.
not a big deal. It's not a big deal, right? So at 55, if it's 20 something homes and managing the signs, it's not a big deal because you know what? I probably have to set the key anyway. So when I set the
Right.
key, I might as well do that. I'm also getting more embedded in it. And it's like, and I'm trying to be the concierge for my buyers and sellers where I'm going to be the person that they look forward to, that I'm going to help them. I'm going to assist them when I'm going to
Right.
bring in the right people, the experts to do things. I mean, I don't need to pay a company $100 to put a sign in a lawn. Not that I'm a little cheap, but not that cheap. But it's just why? Like why do that? Or why pay a transaction coordinator to change a memo when I have to tell them all the information anyway? And things that I like to do from our memos is that using people's full names, right? A lot of times you get it and it's just their name. I okay, don't tell me that neither buyer has a middle initial or a middle name. It's rare, but so they're
Right.
not. I'm like, you need to use the actual. This is a legal document. What's their name on their driver's license or their passport? How do they want to take it?
Or their trust, if it's a trust, that's a whole other thing.
All of those things. So it's always about, and so the you need to be actively involved in knowing. And yes, if I started getting bigger, then what I do sometimes is I'll work like if a listing that I have is closer to one of my agents, I'm like, you want to come 50-50 on me? It's my client, we'll work together. But I'll give you a listing because that's another way to help grow someone's business is share a listing. I'm lucky enough that when I share a listing, it's because it's my listing as opposed to some brokers where they're like, you have to put my name on your listing, right? I wouldn't do that because I'm trying to help grow people's businesses. So, but that's being in LA. So my book is The Adventures of a Real Estate Broker. It's like story. It's not a book about how to real estate. It's a book about what happened and it's interesting stories along the way. 35 years in the business, San Francisco, LA, you obviously you have stories. What's like a crazy story of working with a client, a seller, a buyer that's like really memorable for you?
Oh my gosh. Well, let me just touch on my books while I think about that. So I've written 6 books. One of the books is The Art of Real Estate. So that book, The Art of Real Estate, is really about, California based because it's different than New York, the way we transact. But I talk about the buyer, the seller, the agents, the title people, and how we work together. It's not just buyer, seller, agent. It's like we all work together. So that is a very, I would say, technical book, and there's some stories in it, but that is The Art of Real Estate. From that, I wrote 52 Ways to Achieve Success in Real Estate. Now, this is a small book, easy to read, but it's so easy for an agent to digest. I've never really promoted it, but if you have newer agents, even older agents or seasoned agents, it's such a good book because it's just so succinct and it just reminds you of the things that you need to do. And that's 52 Ways to Achieve Success in Real Estate. And then the book I just came out with is Mindset in Motion, Activate Purpose, Power, and Peak Performance. And that is for anyone with a service, product, or brand, or someone looking to achieve a personal goal, get through a divorce, the empty nest. But you can also use it in real estate of the 5 steps that I have that I use. But you want to talk about an interesting story? I don't know. I'm just a really crazy hard worker. I remember when I was working in San Francisco, working with the celebrities when they were the movie people would come in town, directors, producers, and they'd film in San Francisco. And I was working with Macaulay Culkin and his attorney. And because the attorney was from New York, things are done differently. And I remember I was about to go have my daughter, I was going to the hospital to deliver her. And I was like, wait a second. I got a fax, remember fax? I have to fax this document back to Macaulay Culkin's attorney because he was trying to change some things on the contract and stuff.
Because he didn't want to be home alone. He wanted to have
Yeah.
people with him in his home.
Actually, the crazy thing is, Macaulay lived in this huge house in San Francisco. He was like 9 with his assistant. And at the time, I mean, this was when he was like 9 years old.
When
So
he was 9, I get
he
it.
was 9. His mother, I was with his father and the other little brothers, and they were all teeny. And but the mother was in a different state with the son, and I'm assuming it was the son who's now a big actor,
You're
who was on
Kieran
six.
Culkin, right?
Yeah,
From
yeah. So now I
right.
was probably him starting out a long time ago. I do remember a crazy story though that I don't know, it just sticks. It was such a short-lived experience, but I used to do a lot of relocation when people were relocating into California and the companies were coming to California. And I remember this husband and wife, and they were yelling. The wife's like, I am not going to live here. I am a princess. We live in Florida in a big house with gates, and I am not going to come live in this house. And it was still, I mean, this was like 25 years ago, and it was probably 800,000. It wasn't our properties, our prices are so high here, but so I'm not going to live in this house. I'm not moving. And she was just like, and I was just like going, oh my God. Needless to say, they did not move. She couldn't leave her gates in Florida. But
They,
it's,
well, why didn't you sell them on your Bill Gateses in Northern California? So there are Gateses in California.
yeah,
So
exactly. Yeah, pricing is hard. Price is hard. And when they come into the San Francisco East Bay, and then when they think of the word Oakland, they think the 5 o'clock news. And then I had a relocation person who had referred me, and she said, just go out. They couldn't find houses down the peninsula, down in Silicon Valley, and they were just getting outbid. So they finally said, okay, fine, we'll go look in Oakland. So I'm just used to people saying Oakland's bad. So they came in and I'm showing them around and they're like, this is Oakland. I'm like, yeah. Oakland, I compare it to is like 5 states on the East Coast. I mean, Oakland is huge. Where we are is a very small area, but it's super nice, very high end. And they bought a house like that weekend. They were just like, okay,
you
Oakland's
just
not
can't
bad.
you just can't hold on to a baseball team. That's all.
I know it's terrible. Oh, horrible.
But you know what? What's interesting is everyone there's a move for automation and AI. And again, I just can't believe that people want a bot to be communicating
Oh,
immediately
no,
with
I won't
people.
be
That's
that.
just
No.
absolutely horrible. People think that's the way to go. I go, you've been saying over and over, if people are going to listen to Debbie, it's all about the interaction with people, right? And that's why you say, pick
Absolutely.
up the phone, talk to me.
What is these people who are doing this? They're going to train these bots to take our job then. If a bot can talk to someone, like you do, you know, just recently we're working on a deal, and most of my conversation, we went into escrow, then we fell out of escrow, and then we went back into escrow with someone else. But the whole time it was literally helping her psychologically with her move and just keeping her abreast of what was going on and listening to her. I listened to her and just helped her through it. I mean, I wasn't doing real estate at that time. I mean, it's part of what we do, but I was just helping her and being there and supporting her emotionally.
How is
No
AI going to
bot
do
is going to do
handhold?
that.
You did hand holding. How is an AI going to do hand holding?
We did that so often and just listening to her as she was going through this process. And it's stressful. And yeah, how's it Bach? And it's just, I kind of did it, just closed a different deal. And those people were very difficult. They were younger and they liked to rely on everyone else but them. I literally spoke to the person and then I said, okay, let me get right back to you. And she said, well, if I'm available. And I'm like, I just give me 2 minutes to call you back. Like, I mean, awful working with
Uh,
people. Pick up the phone.
Hopefully, how's your financial portfolio? You're doing okay?
Yeah, I mean, our we just this year, just this week, we're closing a couple deals, but and then some people who
No,
want to
no,
open.
because my point saying, as long as you're financially good and you put money into your retirement, when the bots take over and AI takes
Oh
over,
my
we only have a
I'm not
couple more.
retiring. I love doing this.
I love doing it too. So
But I
maybe
don't
I'll
want I don't want real estate to go away for the next generation. I mean, don't even say that. It's just what is I do use AI and I do like to use it for things, but I don't want to I mean, we'll be gone by that time, but I don't want robots to take over and then there's no emotion. There's what's the point of
I
living?
again, I don't mean maybe at some point, but I think it's still far ahead that we don't have to that we're not going to worry about it. But no, I mean things everything changes. Things in the 35 years, things have changed. They've gone from going into a brick and mortar business to meet someone, that now you're probably meeting them the first time. But I meet people at the first house I show them. I don't,
If you're lucky, I beg people to get them in my car so I can meet them and we can have a conversation and a dialogue. If not, it's like, okay, I'll meet you at the house so we can have a dialogue. But we just sold a house that the people saw, and this happens a lot. They go to the open house and they're like, oh, we need a realtor. We want to buy the house. And then they called me. I didn't meet her till I brought her the keys. We did the whole transaction. I never got a chance to meet her because there was no reason. And so I wanted to meet her to deliver the keys so at least I can see her in person. But people are busy. I get it. And so they'll go to an open house and then you might already have a relationship maybe on the phone and then hopefully you get to meet them, but a lot of times they're busy. Like we saw it at the open house, we don't need to go back, and then you go through the contract and you go through the inspections or whatever. But in our area it's different. We do all the inspections ahead of time, so our buyers will have all of the reports: roof, sewer, lateral, pest, home. They get that up front so they know what they're buying before they make the offer. And then typically our offers are non-contingent, they're pre-approved already. They don't have an appraisal contingency because things just appraise here, homes just appraise, and they usually have everything answered. But before we make the offer, what I will say is, yes, you have the inspection here. If you have any questions, let me know. Oh, you want an electrician to look at that? Before we make the offer, I will gather that information. Even though we haven't gotten the offer yet, because there's multiple offers a lot in our area, I will do the work ahead of time so we are poised to hopefully win that deal.
winning the deal is what's is interesting, is that, and that's where picking up the phone and forming relationships. I've gotten multiple deals in the last couple of months where my buyers were selected because of me,
Oh,
right?
absolutely. That's
Because
99% is because of
I
us.
actually just got one the other day. We just actually just about an hour ago, I saw we went into contract on a fixer upper where somebody bid so much more money. And we're like, well, we're not going there. I think it was, we were like, I think we're five. We wanted to be around five. They said they had someone at 580. It's a total renovated place. And we're like, okay, hard money, or it was all cash. We're like, we're not in. Guess what? 3 days later, the agent calls, and the agent wanted to work with me. There are two agents, and one of the agents knew me really well. The other agent doesn't know me. And we're like, we can't go to that. I Then they call me back. They said, oh, the non-contingent offer now wants to do inspections. And we're like, and I said, I see. So that's why also when they're pushing me to go higher in the money, I go, I waived everything. No
Right.
mortgage, no appraisal, close
Yeah.
in 30 days. And I'm like, so
It's a fixer. It's a fixer. They know
I
it's a
held the
fixer.
line, we held the line on our offer because it wasn't rational to go to that other number.
Right.
So I'm like, great. They go to the thing 2, 3 days later. They're like, they asked me if I'd come up to that number. I'm like, no, but I said I would come up
A
here.
little.
At this number is the number. I think it was like 540. We're not going to 580 or whatever the number was. I go, you get me on the deal. And
Right.
of course, it was like the day after we got the again, lawyers prepare that we were waiting on their lawyer to draft the contract. Lawyer drafts the contracts. We wire the money the next day, sign the contract the next day. We're now in contract on a house that there were 30 offers on. And I rose to the top because of the reputation that I get to closing table. And
Right.
so,
Yeah.
and that is something that you have to earn, right? You don't wake up in doing that. But again, I'm only 10 years in, and there are people that have been doing it for a long time. But it's about relationship. And it's funny is that this agent and I started working together on something like maybe 10 months ago, and the deal went south. There was a buried oil tank. There was a tenant that wasn't leaving, and last night I spoke to her and she called me up. This is delightful, Danny. And I said, I'm
Delightful.
always delightful. I said, but in the case of what happened was I'm responsible for protecting my client's best interest. And when the things were going south with the oil tank and with this and permits, I had to basically protect them. It doesn't mean I wasn't delightful, but I was probably, I might have been more dastardly Dan. But since then, the funny thing, and we kind of got, it got heated. It got really heated he was, and she was in a bit, something happened in her with her friend or whatever, death and whatever. There probably were voicemails that shouldn't have been left. They were left, whatever. I then have a house that I put on the market and she's bidding on it. Right. And I'm like, oh my God, this is the person that was like, I still have the voicemail. And he doesn't bring it up at all, doesn't bring it up at all. And then, and I tell my seller, I tell my seller, I'm like, I want you to know that I know the agent, but I've had a bad experience with the agent, but I'm not letting that get in the way of our deal because it's a different buyer, whatever. So we go into contract on my listing. Then, and then eventually one day she says something like, oh my God, I can't believe you're the same person. I go, I'm always the same person. I go, she's like, yeah, I know, whatever. But then the deal that fell south died with the other person and never because of issues, right? So
Right.
she's like, I got back in. And so it was, she couldn't imagine that she's now telling the seller they're back, right? And
Right.
I got back into that. And now she's the same person where this hard money thing that they want to inspect. So from having a horrible relationship, I'm now in contract on 3 properties with her in the matter
Wow.
of months. And now she absolutely loves me because I'm buying 2 of her properties. She's buying one of mine, and her client was looking. So it's always about relationship building. And what was good is Dastardly Danny was really just, I was just protecting my client. And in the end of the day, I said to her, I go, it's the same me, but also as you get these relationships formed, it's never going to be that again because we now have this trust that has been bound, right? That we know
Right.
she's not going to do anything to hurt my client. You're going to be open and honest about it, and
You
and
have a
and by
relationship not only with your buyers and sellers and clients, but you have a relationship with the agent. And one of my taglines has always been, we're colleagues, not competitors. We work together. Collaboration is super important with the other agents. And that's what you're sharing with right now, is that you guys have such a strong relationship. And my husband and myself have worked together for 35 years, and our son now works with us. And we get agents calling, either they call us if they're looking for something specific, and we call on them. And there's like a little group of us at the kind of top end, or we'll rely on each other. We've worked together for years and we rely on one another, and we're partners. We're not competitors. So it's a great way to be. And you just explained very succinctly
yeah,
how that is and how important it is. They'll say, hey, Dan, do you have someone for this property? They'll literally call you out of the blue and say, I have this coming up. You might not, but you're getting the call. We had an agent once. She's like, I want to be like you. I want to be like you. And Adam getting the calls. I want to be in that play field, in that circle.
well, that's, you just got to answer your phone and communicate and be open and
Yes.
honest, right? And so that doesn't mean you still don't protect your client's best interests, but
Yeah.
there's a way of doing it. And also, I think we could talk for hours, but people probably want us to be under the normal time period for a podcast, so I'll have to end it soon. But when things start going south in a transaction, the earlier that you can talk to the other side, just as you said that you were in and out, deals can be saved with
Yes.
honesty, saying, listen,
Yes.
my
Great.
client, this happened, this, they're not going to get the money, but this is what we're going to do to save the deal. If you
Right.
know what's going on and you know the agent and you think that they're open and honest, you then can go back to your client and say, listen, this is what happened, this is a solution, what I think we should do it, you're the boss, what do you want to do? It's generally better to
It's
finish.
give and take. It's give and take, and some it's not, it might not be contractual, but it might be like compensate the seller. You are 5 days late, maybe you don't have to, but give a little something to show that
Pay,
you're,
right, pay for their hotel room because they moved out
yeah,
5 days ago
right.
and you're not
There's,
like,
yeah,
and
just it's human, it's just human stuff. It might
it's
not be
human, right?
contractual.
Well,
Being a
again, we're dealing
human,
with people.
it's
We're dealing
people.
with people. And to be fair, sometimes our clients aren't rational. But I think what's fair is that if you say that, I said, listen, I'm representing the best interest of my client. This is what I suggested. This is what they want to do. It is what it is. How can we make it work? Right. So it's not always that our clients make good decisions, but that's their decision. And then how do we support that and try to sell it and talk about relationship? Well, Debbi, again, you are a rock star. 35 years in, probably another 35 to go.
Exactly.
because you're never ending. But why would you want to? Because you have such a great persona. And
You
when
know.
your clients, they're like, I got to do the deal with Debbie. Debbie's selling our house. Debbie's selling our grandkids' house.
Yeah.
Debbie is solid in all of California, but really with the focus in Northern and Southern California.
Yes.
So when my son writes his screenplay and it gets
Yes.
picked up and he needs to move out permanently and out of his rental, Debbie's the one we're going to call.
Yes,
So
I'm his Sicilian mother here in LA. I'll take care of
exactly.
him.
Well,
Whether no matter the age of my clients, I always treat them like they're my children. I want to make sure at any
well,
age that they are well taken care of and get all the guidance they need.
well, I wish you again much success. Continue with your coaching, your leadership, and you're just a great role model for what a professional agent, trainer, educator, author, podcaster is all about. So you wear so many different hats.
Thank
Again,
you.
thank you very much. So, everyone, it's Daniel Berger with the Adventures of a Real Estate Broker. You're going to look for, we're all going to love when this goes live on all places where podcasts are. Debbi DiMaggio, thank you very much.
Thank you.
If today's stories opened your eyes, wait till you see what's next. Hit the video on screen to join the next adventure with Daniel Berger.